Welcome everyone to the session, How Guidewire is Empowering Developers to Drive Innovation into the P&C Industry. This is a topic that I'm very excited to talk about. Amy, I know you are as well. I think you and I both agree that developers play a crucial role in the P&C industry and in our society. So I'm excited to dig into this and talk a little bit more about it with you. So let's get started right away.
Yeah, so especially in the P&C industry, as we've seen both technology as well as the market change pretty rapidly historically over the last 10 or so years, developers have become more and more important in enabling business innovation within insurance. And that spans everything from basic technology transformation to new products and new lines of business that are out there in the market, to new ways of doing things. So really in the P&C industry, developers are driving a lot of the innovation, and developers are really driving the business forward. And that mimics or mirrors a lot of what we see across the industry and across the world, really, where developers are playing a bigger and bigger part in our everyday lives. I can hardly do anything in my day-to-day world without relying on something that a developer touched or created.
What are some examples of how developers in the P&C industry specifically are sort of leaving their mark and changing the world and changing the industry that we work in?
Yeah, I think some of the best examples come from insurtechs, where they are thinking about the entire process of how somebody goes out and gets insurance in a completely new and different way, and making it much more accessible than maybe it has been in the past. And that accessibility is really, really important because of the vital social function that insurance really plays. So one of the things that we talk about is small business insurance and the role that small business insurance plays in assuring people that they can take that risk, they can open that business, and that they will be protected from some of the loss and some of the risk that they're taking on. Now, what's interesting about small business insurance in particular is it's a great example of where developers are really making that more accessible, more understandable, and where we're seeing more and more people have the ability to get the kinds of coverage that they might need. So that's really, really important. Another place that we're introducing new products and new ways of accessing insurance is for the millennial generation that maybe isn't owning homes at the same rate, maybe isn't driving as much, but they have different kinds of risks that they need to insure. So making sure that there are insurance products out there to insure the risks that they do have, whether it's bicycles, whether it's renter's insurance, all kinds of different things that they may need that are slightly different than maybe the traditional auto, home, and umbrella that we've thought about in the past.
The developers that are working on these problems have to apply a lot of their own creativity and innovation in order to do that. Are there things that are hindering them from sort of unleashing that and solving these problems in a creative and forward-thinking way?
When we think about how to enable developers or how to make it more possible for them to unleash that creativity and solve some of these problems in an innovative way, we really think of two kinds of things that need to be addressed. The first one is what we think of as kind of legacy technology. We want to move the technology base forward and make sure that the platform that those developers are using allows them to take advantage of some of the newest, latest, greatest. One of the things that we see, not just in P&C insurance, but across all of development, is that there is no longer this notion that you're going to start completely from scratch. You want to start with some set of services, some set of capabilities, and then build and innovate on top of that. And that really helps to accelerate that process. Now, to do that, we're focused on the other piece of what we think developers need to really unlock or unleash that creativity and that innovation, which is then providing not only the basic technology components, but then the kinds of things that developers can use to build on, to extend, to configure, things like open API definitions, things like platforms that allow for CI/CD and rapid development and deployment and testing, all of those kinds of things that sit on top of that modern technology base and modern technology stack. So it's really those two things. You got to start with the technology at the base, but then you also have to provide things that I think of as almost accelerators to that. So it's a lot faster for somebody to build a new insurance product if they've got a solid policy system of record backing it up, because they now don't have to worry about all of that piece, and they can focus just on what's new and different about this insurance product that we want to get to market.
You mentioned the platform and the tools being open and a little more accessible to the developer community. Can you maybe spend a little bit of time just sort of helping us understand what we mean when we say open platform here at Guidewire?
The thing that we think about when we think about, are we producing an open platform, is how long does it take a developer with a common industry skill set to get to some kind of simple hello world, either application or maybe a simple extension to Insurance Suite? How long does it take them before they can go in, make that first change, use the platform, and see what they've done? And that's kind of our first test. And then past that, we think that there's a variety of things that we need to provide from an open platform perspective. So it starts with APIs, our Insurance Suite Cloud APIs, so that developers have access to all of the great support, all the great transactions, all of the system of record that is in Insurance Suite, also with Insurance Now. It starts there, but then it extends past that. So you do need to support that, some set of standards. And why do you need a set of standards on an open platform? It's that you want to provide guidance, and that guidance can help to accelerate the development process pretty significantly, actually. If we can provide a robust set of standards that gives developers that guidance, they don't have to spend as much time wondering, hey, should I do something this way or should I do something that way? It's that kind of thing that we want to provide. So open APIs, standards, and then also we want to facilitate the creation of a really robust development community, so that it's not just each developer working by themselves, but that they can share ideas, that they can exchange ideas, that they can exchange experience and learn from one another, and then also share code. And if you look in the industry right now, this is how a lot of the most exciting things that are happening out there are being developed. It's not starting with a blank sheet of paper. We're starting with a set of tools, with a robust platform. And then developers from many different projects are able to share and combine ideas in order to develop something that's even more extraordinary than maybe they would do on their own.
So it's been a great discussion so far, but let's get into a little more specific detail around what Guidewire is doing, especially with this BANF release, to specifically empower developers and allow them to take advantage of this open platform and this sort of democratization of creativity.
Yeah, so we're really super excited to talk about with the BANF release that we're launching developer.guidewire.com. And I think that to me is one of the first places that everyone should go and check out to learn more about what tools are there, what parts of the platform are there, and how to use them. Some of the cool things on developer.guidewire.com include full API references for the Insurance Suite APIs, as well as for Science and Insurance Now across the entire Guidewire portfolio. Excited about that, so that people can get the information about what those APIs provide, plus additional information and guidance to all of the great content that's actually already out there on things like Jutro for creating the UI or the UX and those great experiences. Also on the products themselves. So what do you need to know about Claim Center? What do you need to know about Policy Center? How do you build on top? How do you extend? And then one of the big things is, how do you integrate? So that's another topic that's out there. And also learning to use the new Guidewire Cloud platform as well. And what does that enable from a development perspective and from acceleration? So I'd encourage everybody to go out, check out developer.guidewire.com. We're excited about the resources that are there, and please give us feedback. Like, what more do you want to see?
There were two, capabilities you specifically mentioned that I want to dig a little deeper into, with the availability of Jutro and some of the new Insurance Suite APIs. Can you talk a little bit about specifically what developers will be able to do with these new capabilities with the BANF release?
The new APIs that I talked about with the BANF release, those are a set of RESTful APIs that provide system level access to transactions and different transaction types in Insurance Suite in particular. And what can you do with those? There is almost no limit to what we think customers will end up doing with them and what developers will use them for. Some of the things that we've already seen customers start to use those system APIs for include things like completely headless flows in Policy Center, all the way through quote and bind. They're also using them for integrations. So as a way to do integrations with claims and Policy Center. So I don't think there's any one use case. We know integration is going to be one. We know integration of insurtechs, integration with analytics of various types, integration of third-party data. All of that is happening. We also know that those system APIs, what we've already seen happen with them, is that people are building and extending new experiences on top of policy and claims as well. So maybe as part of a broader ecosystem and inside an insurer, being able to embed some of that capability from policy or claims within that broader ecosystem. So those are both exciting things. More to come, really. We're still seeing some of the really cool stuff that people are doing for the first time. With Jutro, I think the real opportunity there is to use Jutro to expand, extend, and really customize the digital experiences, especially around the Engage products. So taking something that starts maybe with one of the Engage products, Producer Engage or one of the other ones, and then expanding it, extending it with Jutro. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't say that one of the key values of both the RESTful APIs as well as Jutro is as part of our non-breaking changes initiative within Guidewire, which means that the work that's done by developers on top of those APIs or in Jutro is forward compatible. So as we release new versions of the product and as those are applied in a cloud environment, those extensions, those new applications will continue to work because we'll provide backwards compatibility. So that's super exciting for us, giving developers that way to not only do something, but do something that's durable and will last through many versions. You can take a new version of something, have your existing APIs continue to work, have the existing configuration you've done on the UI continue to work. And then because that new version may have new business functionality included in it, you can actually then consume that new business functionality and provide even more value over time very easily because you're not reworking what was there. You're simply adding to it and incrementally adding to the value over time.
Developers who are attending the session today, or maybe anyone else who's just kind of curious to take a look at it, how can we get our hands on these new capabilities, these new features, and really start to play with them and learn more about them and start to use them?
We talked a little bit about developer.guidewire.com. That's a great place to start. A lot of what I'm talking about is really building on capabilities, building on technologies, building on infrastructure that is very, very specific to cloud. We've taken the base AWS infrastructure, and we've actually built on top of that something we call the Guidewire Cloud Platform that provides even more help and even more acceleration to developers. So they're really able to focus on what is that next business value? What is the innovative thing? So a lot of what we've talked about, the best way to get your hands on it is really through Guidewire Cloud Platform. Developer.guidewire.com has a ton of good resources. And then being able to work on the Guidewire Cloud Platform, work on the BAMF release there is really the best way to get your hands on it and to learn what it can do.
If you look forward, into the future, what do you see in terms of just kind of the things that developers are going to be working on out into the future? The next generation of creative individuals coming up to solve these problems. What are some of the things they're going to be doing?
AI is everywhere, and IoT and combining the data from IoT into the overall insurance process throughout the full life cycle. That is a big theme that we're seeing over and over and over again. What's really interesting in the insurance industry is that both AI and IoT are being applied in a way that is in service of a particular goal. And that goal is really customer service. How do they better serve their insureds? And how is it that they can apply AI in a way that actually provides a better customer experience, a better, more intuitive customer experience, a better flow through a claims process. So when you go to file a claim, using AI to figure out what questions to ask you based on what type of claim that you have. So you're not filling out a generic form. Now the insured is trying to just give the information that is most relevant for the type of claim that they have. That same thing with IoT, trying to get you a good rate on a particular policy and the right coverages, or proactively reaching out with IoT to say, hey, we saw that maybe something happened. Is everything okay? So all of those things are really designed, and all the AI and all the IoT conversations are really around customer service. And how do we make insurance more accessible, more affordable, and more relevant for more people within our society, which I think is a really important thing, especially if you look at what's happening all around us. Having that safety net is vitally important.
Thank you, Amy, for your time in the conversation today. I hope everyone who attended this session was excited about this topic, as I know you and I are. I would encourage everyone to make sure you get over to the new developer.guidewire.com site, check it out, look at the resources there, learn more about these new capabilities that we discussed today with the Band for Lease, and give us your feedback. Let us know on the site what you want to see, how we can make it better. That's a key driver for us, is to enable our great world-class developer community to continue to innovate and be creative on our platform.